Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Fucking Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman. How's that one?
That was good.
Start the new year right. Start the new year right.
Fired up here in the new year, man. Boy, the buzz in the studio today. I don't know. I guess we'll attribute it to the New Year's. Coming to you, as always, from the beautiful, hyped up studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Fucking Business podcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project. We thank them, as we always do, for their sponsorship of our program and what they do for us, and hopefully what we do for them selling gear. This is episode number 99, the Wayne Gretzky special, if you're a hockey fan, which I'm going to assume you are for tuning in, which is Noventa y Nueve on the Spanish dial. I will tell you, I was actually in Mexico last week.
Yeah.
And all of this Spanish speaking that I do here on the show got me nothing because I cannot speak a lick of it at all when I need to.
It's the speed. It's
the speed and also not knowing the words. But I can say the episode numbers, and today is Noventa y Nueve. So we welcome you to the program. You can send your questions at any time to mypbshow@gmail.com, or you can, like many of you did last week because we were not on and there was a lot going on in Ranger World, you can DM us at our Instagram page. We do respond. That is at Mind Your Pucking Business. All one long word, at Mind Your Pucking Business.
There we go.
There you go. Right across the screen. Was it delayed? I wasn't even watching.
No, but I had it on you. I didn't get to do my famous.
Oh, you're going to do your famous little thing. Vanna White over there in the corner. Also remember the aforementioned Bamboozle Project. I know there were a lot of holiday orders, from what I understand, of gifts for people. So we thank you for buying our gear. We thank you for using it. Again, I highly recommend the winter hat, but that's just me. But do remember that the 25% off promo code MYPB works every time like a charm.
Yeah.
Unlike a Dunkin' Donut coupon we were just talking about.
Ooh, yes.
Before the show.
We do not put an expiration date on your promo code.
There is no expiration date. As far as we know, the folks at the Bamboozle Project are going to let that promo code stay into.
I'm a shareholder. We'll make it happen.
You'll make it. Good to hear. So happy New Year, first of all. We thank you. Thank you very much. We wish all of you guys out there a happy New Year. We hope you had a good holiday season. I find every year, and I don't know if it's as I get older, but I find that as the holiday season ends, it's always like a good thing. I guess when you're a kid, you don't want to go back to school. You don't want to do all those things. To me, when the Christmas stuff comes down and the music stops and all this nonsense, I'm fine with it. I got no problem. So there's no tears here on that. I want to start the show, depending on when you tune in and when you listen to us, whether that be on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes. If you're on one of them and you're listening to us, before I say what I'm about to say, I want to let you know when we're taping this episode. And that is on Tuesday morning, January 3rd. And last night in the Buffalo Bills Cincinnati Bengal game, just a horrible, scary moment. I'm kind of thankful that I didn't see it, actually. And that is that we send our wishes and get well wishes to Damar Hamlin, the cornerback up there in Buffalo. And hopefully he gets better. But just a real scary situation. So I wanted to start today and just mention that before we get into the Rangers, which obviously in comparison to the Damar Hamlin situation is not important. But we're here and that's what we cover. So that's what we're going to do. So we were not on last week, and when we last left you, the Rangers had really been on a roll, had been winning games, really left and right. They had gone into Pittsburgh the last day that we were on, actually, and lost. Kind of a frustrating game. They turned around and played the Islanders 2 days later at home, played very well, came back. It really was a complete 60-minute effort, which was kind of what the team had been missing. And then they broke for Christmas break. We were not on last week. And last week, I'm glad we were not in, because if I had to go into any sort of specifics about the game last Tuesday versus the Capitals, I would have nothing to say because it was the Rangers' worst game of the year. They got shut out at home. And one thing for me that I always think about, and this is just because I have tickets and I don't go to every game, obviously, so I sell them. So I kind of understand the secondary market a lot, is the ticket prices to get in last Tuesday night at the Garden for the game on the 27th versus the Capitals were through the roof. Like, you couldn't get a ticket for under $220 to get in, which is insane for a regular season game. But it's a holiday time, and it's New York. And then I was thinking to myself, like, all these people that paid these prices literally saw the Rangers not show up. I mean, it was just the worst game of the season. There's nothing to even talk about it. I'm going to take it, put it, and just throw it away. The Rangers then move on to Tampa. Now, before we get to this, because this is what I want to focus on, what happened before the game in Tampa with Alexis Lafrenière being benched. And Coach Ed is going to join us in a couple minutes from Rangers Ed podcast and talk to us about it. But I want to preface this by this, and I was thinking of this last night. You know, last year as Ranger fans, you entered the 2021-2022 season, and we were here and we said, I went back and we really said, you know what, you didn't know what to expect. You had a new coach in Gerard Gallant coming in. You had a new general manager in Chris Drury. You really went into the year and said, you know what, I'm optimistic, but I have no idea how this team's going to be, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Now, you didn't know at the time going into that year that Igor Shesterkin was going to have a Vezina winning year and be out of his mind, that Chris Kreider would score, over 50 goals. Both of those things, if one of them happened, you'd be surprised. But two of them happened, and therefore the Rangers got to within 2 games of going to the Stanley Cup final. And not only being 2 games within going to the Stanley Cup final, but the Rangers were up 2-0 in the second period of Game 3. I mean, you literally were 90 minutes away with a 2-0 lead from going to the Stanley Cup final in a year that you went into with no expectations. We didn't know what to expect, right? Really, we sat here, and maybe we had the wrong viewpoint looking back. When we would be doing our season preview shows for that season, we said, you know what? The goal of this team is hopefully get in the playoffs and get these kids, Kako, Lafrenière, all of these guys some experience so that the long-term projection for them would be that they've gained experience and it helps them long-term. That was our goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The Rangers have the year that they had last year. So you get to within 2 games of the Stanley Cup Finals, Dougie Sticks. The majority of the same team returns. I don't want to say, well, that's not fair. A lot of the same characters return. I don't want to say majority because you lost Cap and Strome and some guys that were key pieces. What is going to be the expectation for this year?
We got it. Yeah, you have to make the playoffs. That's first and foremost. Right. So we got to get our season, on track. So we definitely make the playoffs, and then you want to make it. You want to make it to the cup. You want to advance. You want to do better than you did last year.
Correct. So now you go into this year.
Yeah.
Thank you, because you played right into where I'm going. Now you go into this year and you have enormous expectation, right? We game within 2 games of going to the Cup Finals. This is the year we're going to go for the Cup, and it's cup or bust, which is fine if you want to have that opinion. If you had that opinion going in this year, I can understand that. But my point here is this: the expectation going into this year versus last year is polar opposite, to the point where now hindsight is 2020. I get it, but you now sit here and you say to yourself, well, if my expectations are this high, something's got to go wrong at some point. It's not going to be in this cruise control. And last season, for the most part, the Rangers were on cruise control all year. They never really had a terrible stretch of play. Whereas this year's team seems to be going up and down, peaks and valleys. So Thursday rather, the Rangers go to Tampa. I'm going to give credit here to the beat writers on this team. They travel with the team, wherever the Rangers go, this is what they cover, whether it's Vince at the Journal News, whether it's Larry Brooks at the Post. These guys go where the Rangers go. They're at the practices. Dan Rosen, who's on our show sometimes, they know what's going on. I give the beat writers credit because Thursday morning it came out, and it was multiple beat writers really at a time, said Alexis Lafrenière is scratched. He's not playing tonight. He's not playing tonight, not because he's not hurt, but he's not playing tonight because Gerard Gallant is not happy with the play of Alexis Lafrenière.
Was the kid line played at all lately?
So the kid line, that's a good question. We're going to get to that.
All
right. Let's backtrack here for a second. We have said, and even Gerard Gallant has made comments about this, that the line shuffling, the inconsistencies as a team, not just Alexis Lafrenière, has not been good. I have a real problem with this, and here's why. This is my thought on Alexis Lafrenière being benched. If you believe, and this is an if, and this is a big if, right? It shouldn't be a big if, but I'm going to be fair. It is a big if. If you believe that Alexis Lafrenière is going to be a elite player in the league, which is what was sold to us, what was jammed down our throats when he came here in 2020 in the 2020 in the draft. If you're going to believe that, all right, then you tell me, out of these two names, who is more important to the long-term future of this franchise, Gerard Gallant or Alexis Lafrenière? Alexis Lafrenière.
Yeah.
Now, you can sit here and
calling for jobs now?
I'm not calling for jobs yet. I'm not calling for jobs yet. But I'm going to say this. There is a mental aspect of this game, and Coach Ed can talk to us in a minute because he's coached hockey. There is a mental aspect of hockey, right? Matter of fact, I had a discussion with my children this morning that after my game that I played in last night, I said, look, a lot of these kids are faster than me that I play with, but I kind of know the game a little bit. It does help. There is a mental aspect to the game.
Yeah.
Alexis Lafreniere's mindset right now is not good. You want to know why? Because 2 nights ago, they won a game in Florida, and the Rangers do this thing in the locker room after wins where they give out the Broadway hat, right? So the players pick what player is getting the hat, who did well that night. They gave it to Alexis Lafrenière the other night, who did nothing in the game, literally nothing. He was like, not even there. But they gave it to him because clearly the kid's confidence. This was a whole mental thing, right? I mean, why would you be giving it to Lafrenière? So I don't know really what Gerard Gallant is doing. I want to believe maybe he's saying that if I bench the kid, it's going to motivate him. But
is this a Zach Wilson situation?
Well, let's hope not. If Alexis Lafrenière turns out to be anything near Zach Wilson, we got a lot of problems. A lot of problems. So I don't know really the long-term plan here with Gerard Gallant and Alexis Lafrenière, but all I know is this. This guy was billed to us as the next coming of Moses. He was billed to us as a generational talent, and now he's getting benched in his third year as a healthy scratch. It's highly concerning.
Yeah.
And I want Alexis Lafrenière to be great as bad as anyone.
Wouldn't you get the same reaction from him if you just moved him to the third line or something?
He's been playing on the third line.
All right.
What I want, here's my prescription.
Yeah.
Now again, I'm not a doctor, so
if I give you a prescription,
don't believe it's going to work. It may, but it may not, right? Throw the blind squirrel finds the nut every once in a while.
Okay.
Here's what I would do with Alexis Lafrenière. Right. The top Chris Kreider to me has not been he hasn't been great this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to find out what Alexis Lafrenière is. This is year 3. Is he talented? Is he one of these guys? And this is fine if this is what he is. That takes a couple years to get acclimated to the league. Look at the Henrik and Daniel Sedin in Vancouver. It took them a while to become elite players. Does he have the talent? The way that I'm going to find that out is by putting him on the top line. Give this guy top line minutes. If you're playing with Zibanejad and Kakko, or if you're putting him on a line with Panarin, if I'm giving him talent, you know what I'm going to find out? I've got a really good chance to make this a litmus test to find out that if Alexis Lafrenière is actually has a chance to be good in this league. Because if he doesn't, I need to find that out sooner than later, right? Trade value goes down. I get it, but I need to know that. So my prescription is this with Lafrenière. Give him top line minutes or put him on the second line. Put him with players that can score and let him play their consistently to give him the opportunity to build some chemistry. And then we can sit there and make a decision on Alexis Lafrenière. Benching him as a healthy scratch does nothing.
Isn't he also on the power play?
He doesn't get a lot of power play minutes.
Oh, I thought he was on the power play too.
He is sometimes, but he doesn't get a lot of power play minutes. So if I am Gerard Gallant, and again, I have no idea what Gerard Gallant is doing, and you know that there's not a bigger, there was a bigger fan of them going out to get Gerard Gallant. I wanted them to get Gerard Gallant when David Quinn was still employed in the middle of that season. That's how badly I wanted Gerard Gallant. But right now, my whole mindset on Gerard Gallant is I'm not sure what this dude's doing here at the wheel. Did he have more drinks this year behind the wheel than last year? Because something here is off. But that to me is the cure with Alexis Lafrenière. Give him top line minutes. Throw the kid into the fire. Make him produce. If he's not producing on the top line after 4 or 5 games, you know what? It sucks, but at least you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to me is the key. And this franchise, as we've also spoken about plenty of times, and any Ranger fan has the worst history of developing young talent. It's unbelievable. Whether it be Hugh Geisman, whether it be Elias Anderson, who has to get out of here, all these young players that they're drafting that just never become anything, Lafrenière would sting the most out of everyone if that is the case, because he was billed to us as the next coming of Moses when he came here.
Yeah, let him play.
So
get the kid line going.
So before we bring in Coach Ed, one other thing I want to mention with the Rangers, with where they are right now, is the other problem the Rangers have is their division is great. You have the Hurricanes, who they play tonight, actually, which should be a very good test for the Rangers. The Hurricanes have won either 12 or 13 in a row, something like that, are up, obviously leading the Metropolitan Division. But you have the Devils with 49 points, the Caps with 47, the Rangers with 46, and the Devils, and then the Penguins and the Islanders with 44. The division is really good. So, you think about it, the the sixth place team in the division. Think about this. Let this sink in for a minute. The sixth place team in the Metropolitan Division right now is 21-15. They're 6 games over 500.
Yeah.
That's the team in sixth place. That's how good this division is. By comparison, the sixth place team in the Atlantic Division is 500 at 17-17, right? This division is great. And it's the same, actually. If I go to the Pacific Division, the sixth place team is even under 500, which is what you would expect the sixth place team to be. So the Rangers right now, these division games really matter. And again, you got tonight versus Carolina. They go up to Montreal on Thursday. They play the Devils, who have really come back to earth. Like, you've got to beat the Devils now here on Saturday. And then, you come home and you play Minnesota and Dallas. So the points right now are at a premium. You've got to get points when you can. And a big reason of that is because the division is just so good. So we're going to bring in one of our favorite guests. We're going to bring in Coach Ed. He's been on before, Rangers Ed podcast. I highly encourage you check them out. They are also very active on Instagram, as I have said. So if you kind of don't have time to listen to their full episodes, they do a very good job of kind of doing, bits and pieces of the important stuff. The Cliff Notes version, I would say. You can always check them out on their Instagram page. And that is Coach Ed. How are you, Coach? How you doing?
Yeah, fellas, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. How are you?
I'm having some technical difficulties.
Okay. Well, so far we're good. We'll try to avoid it. Happy New Year, first of all. Okay. Happy New Year, Ed. Let's see if we can get this to work. Well, we'll come back. We'll come back to Ed. Ed can give us on our screen over here. Here you go. Can you hear us now? All right. We'll come back to Ed when he's ready. But the standings in the division, the Ranger division, is a problem right now for this team if they're gonna advance. So we'll wait for Ed to get that stuff worked out, and then what we'll do is we'll shift gears real quickly to the NFL. Ed, you can let us know here on the screen when you're ready to go, and we will shift back to you. So the NFL, the other day, if you went to if you were at MetLife Stadium, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, I'm not looking at you in particular, but
I was there.
If you were there,
Yeah.
you saw someone that looked very familiar on the Jumbotron the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Who would that be?
Oh, that was me.
So you
Let's
had.
pull that up. I could pull that up.
You can pull it up?
Yeah, why not?
For the show? Okay.
Yeah.
So we will put on, for those following the video feed, which would be on YouTube.
Sneeze.
God bless you, sir.
Woo.
Looks like you brought back more from the game than a playoff berth. So
Absolutely.
let's see if you can get that.
This was one of like 10 times we were on the I was on the Jumbotron like every other second. Let's pull that up.
Let's see if we can get Dougie Sticks. So the Giants the other day clinching the playoff. There it is, right there. So if you're following on YouTube, you can see Dougie Sticks' moment there on the Jumbotron at MetLife, celebrating amongst his fans in a section that he does not own tickets in, but he sits there every game in the most amazing story. So those are all his friends as the Giants clinch the playoffs. You have to really give. I mean, Brian Daboll will not win Coach of the Year because it's probably going to go to Nick Sirianni in Philly, which is kind of equally as deserved if I'm being fair. I mean, they both deserve it, but Sirianni's probably going to win it. But Brian Daboll last year, when he came here to New York and the Giants interviewed him, was really, every year you have like a crop of coaches that, and they say this is, the hot candidate. Brian Daboll was listed as like the one guy to get. And the Giants kind of identified him right away, acted quickly, and got him. And you got to give them credit that they got a coach like that, because Brian Daboll, any coach in the league, in any sport, really is only going to get better with experience. And you have to just love the fact that he was able to do in year one with such limited stuff. The Giants really haven't had any wide receivers. They've had injuries all year. Let me ask you this. You know more about the Giants than I do, so I don't want to pretend that I do. We had Nikki on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've also spoken about this topic at length. If you're the Giants next year, knowing what you know now, because there's more data, are you having Daniel Jones return as your quarterback?
I mean, the crowd, the whole stadium was chanting Danny Dimes on Sunday.
Okay, but does that mean
I think that he's starting to win people over. I mean, if they here's the thing too, like when they let him play, when they let him run, and when they let him throw, good things have been happening. It's like we seem to like handcuff him a little bit and don't let him do some things. But going back to before, coach of the year, definitely Daboll. As you see right now,
you are such a homer.
As you see right now, Jalen Hurts doesn't play, they don't win. If they were winning those games without Jalen Hurts, then you can maybe say he's coach of the year. Jalen Hurts has got everybody, he loses. So you might be an MVP candidate from Jalen Hurts, but you're not getting coach of the year because you can't win a game without players. Daboll's winning games without wide receivers.
Here's the latest coach of the year odds. You ready?
Yeah.
As of today.
Yeah.
So Nick Sirianni, you can bet on it. Nick Sirianni, so I'm right in the sense that he is the favorite at plus 175.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised that Daboll's not second. Daboll's third. Second is Kyle Shanahan at plus 200, which I think is
from the Commanders.
No, from the 49ers, which I think is fair. You know what? They're more talented, but he also lost his top two quarterbacks. He lost Garoppolo and he lost Trey Lance in week one. Thank you. And my fantasy
he's
team
got 50 other weapons.
He's
got 50 other weapons. He's got two all-star running backs.
That's fair.
He's got the best tight end in the game.
Really? So the odds here have this as a 2-man race or 3-man race. It's Sirianni plus 175. It's Kyle Shanahan at plus 200 and Brian Daboll at plus 400. I don't think, based on these odds, that Daboll's going to win it. It doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be in the question, but I know you well enough because we've done the show for 99 episodes that you do, like, sometimes your homerness comes out. Like, how could you can't sit there and trash Sirianni.
Both of the teams, the Eagles and the 49ers, are stacked teams. Daboll's done this with literally the only player that people like recognize is Saquon Barkley. Like the only player like that was like,
look, I'm not belittling the job that Brian Daboll did. I'm not at all.
Great.
I wish he was the coach of my team.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like the Giants and the Jets, so he is kind of one of my teams. And the Jets we'll get to in a minute. But I'm just saying, if I am going to be an objective voter, whatever members of the media vote on this, and they vote on this, by the way, I don't know if you know this, the day after the regular season ends, which is right. You don't want to put
great. Let's beat the Eagles next week.
Okay, but you're beating the Eagles in a game that really for you doesn't matter, and the Eagles will win that game. The Eagles if they win, right? They lock up the 1 seed. No, he is playing. I heard. So, and if the Eagles don't win, they go from having a bye and 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl to having to win 3 games on the road. The Eagles are going to win. Giants, and I don't expect the Giants to really sit there and put up much of a fight. And I believe the line in the game is like 13.5 points. But you can't, and again, I hate the Eagles more than anyone. I don't like Sirianni at all. But again, I'm being objective here. The guy's done a really good job.
How though?
How?
With Daboll, you have no weapons.
Don't talk to me about Daboll.
Okay.
This is not, I don't want,
I have no, when I'm putting pros and cons of each candidate here, I don't see what he's done. He's got a stacked team.
No, he doesn't.
And he's got a quarterback where the play breaks down. He just runs out the corner. It's not like he's like cooking up these massive plays. Jalen Hurts is running all over the place.
But is Jalen Hurts though? Okay. And again, I'm mad at you at the moment.
You could say Jalen Hurts is the MVP.
No.
That's
not where I'm going.
To there.
And I'm mad at you
because saying Danny dies for MVP.
I'm mad at you in the sense that you're making me like actually have to, say positive things here about the Eagles, but I'm trying to be fair.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
who I don't like, right? Because he's an Eagle.
like him
I don't
either.
like anyone
Yeah.
who's on the Eagles. I
I don't
never
like him.
have. I
Sorry,
never will.
Jalen,
I
you
used
suck.
to. I used to hate. I used to not take David Akers in my fantasy team because I didn't want to get points.
That's
when
another
the
great
Eagles won.
player. Yeah.
He's a kicker. Relax. But Jalen Hurts, even though he may win the MVP, and you're right, maybe he's deserving to do that, wasn't projected to have this good of a year. Yes, he was supposed to be good, but look at where he was supposedly drafted in fantasy drafts, right?
You're proving my point.
No, I'm not.
You're proving my
You're
point.
proving my.
Because we didn't expect him to have an MVP season,
but the coach
doesn't
has
mean that the
nothing
coach gets to ride his coattails and
But
get Coach of the Year.
The coach has nothing to do with that.
No. All right, listen. The plays that they're running, they're not the coach's plays. They're plays that are falling apart, and he just runs around. He's about to get sacked.
Their defense is pretty good.
Yes, great.
Again, I don't want to sit here and like have to pump up the Eagles because I can't stand them. I'll root against them and whoever they're playing in the first week, and I don't care if they ever if they make it to a Super Bowl again. I'm locked in because I just want them to lose. I hate them.
Yes,
but I've got to be objective. Sirianni's done a really
objective.
Okay.
This is being objective.
So
the Eagles have a stacked team. They have a good team. Like you could even say, like the Cowboys too. The Cowboys have a good team. They have good pass rushers. They have Dable's doing this with nobody except for Saquon Barkley.
Well, we will find out. Here's the beauty of this argument between me and you. We will find out. I believe it's in February. It gets announced who wins Coach of the Year.
I put a bet on this too now.
So you think you're putting a bet?
I'm going to put in a bet right now. I got to find it. I don't know how to find these things.
And you're going away from your objectiveness.
This
think
is not okay. Go ahead. Finish your sentence. Finish your sentence.
Take out. Fine.
Finish your sentence.
I will take out what I just said. That the objectiveness. I just want your opinion. Do you actually think that when they announce
you
the winner,
say I'm delusional?
No, I don't think you're delusional. He's plus 400. Okay. He can win. Okay. Do you think Brian Dable will actually be the person that wins Coach of the Year?
I think he should.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking if he should.
I don't know. There's politics involved. This is, it's the NFL.
So we're not disagreeing. Listen, we're not disagreeing because I'm saying he should be in the mention. He's done a great job. He's deserving of it.
I think he deserves to win. He's got the least amount of weapons. So if you have the least amount of weapons.
Listen to what I'm asking. I'm not asking you if he deserves to win Coach of the Year. I'm asking, do you think he's going to win Coach of the Year?
And who votes on this?
The media, the NFL media.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Fine.
I'm just going to say
That's
yes.
fine.
Screw the media. He's deserving to win.
Hold on.
He's got to win.
Pat, our executive producer, Pat, who's a Giant fan in his Giant shirt today. You've had to sit here and sit through this argument. Who is in your eyes? Brian Dable deserves to win. I just want to know, who do you think, if you had a free bet?
Who's wearing a Giants sweatshirt?
If you had
better say Giants.
If you had a free bet right now as to who is going to win NFL Coach of the Year, who's going to win NFL Coach of the Year?
Hot take, Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, who's plus 4,000.
Okay, now I would agree with that.
I'm asking, hold on.
No, that's a great point. That is a great point. I would say Dan Campbell or Brian Dable, but I don't. These coaches that have stacked teams, why the Coach of the Year? Like, all right, the Eagles have done great. They have a stacked team, but Jalen Hurts isn't running plays. Isn't running the coach's plays. He's Willie Beeman any given Sunday. He's running around every time he's about to get sacked. These aren't like planned plays.
Doug, the Lions right now are 8-8. And the Eagles are 13-3. The 8-8 coach is not going to win Coach of the Year over the Eagles.
I would even say that the Jets coach should win over the 49ers or the Eagles. The Jets coach.
The Jets coach?
Yeah, the Jets coach. Do you think the Jets? We won one game last year.
Robert Saleh is not even listed. You can't even.
The Jets won one game last year, and now they won. The Giants won what? 4 games last year.
Okay. Well, you know what? We will revisit this debate. And we will see who is going to win Coach of the Year. We'll see. We'll see what they think. Let's try and go back to Coach Ed. I see he's there. We're going to try one more time. Hello, Coach Ed. Can you hear us? Can you hear us okay? I think you're on mute.
He can hear us. Unmute.
Let's see if we can just unmute yourself over there.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we can. It's a little chippy, but how are you? Happy New Year. Yeah, we're having trouble.
You're muted again.
Muted again. Yeah, we're having trouble hearing you for some reason.
There you go.
How about now?
A little bit
Yeah.
better.
Guys,
Happy
had computer.
Yeah, we're having trouble hearing you.
Yep.
Well,
Oh, it looks like it's coming on now. Can you?
all
Can
right.
you?
One last shot. Can you hear us, Coach?
How we doing, fellas?
There
I
we
can
go.
hear you.
Much
Can you
better.
hear me?
Now we can. Happy New
Yeah.
Year. How are you?
Same to
Doing
you.
well?
Happy New Year, fellas.
Good. I think you have a little
Yeah,
bit of
can't
delay here.
complain. Everything's good.
All
Back
right.
to the grind.
There we go. All right. Let me ask you the burning question right now on Ranger fans' mind. What should they do with Lafrenière?
I mean, I try to watch the play of these fellas behind the play and how he's playing, and especially when we're there live. I mean, I don't understand what the issue is. That the kid line was doing well. He got a couple of points here and there, and then they break it up. I don't know what he's seeing that he's not doing well. So I wish they would be more elaborate, but I guess that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't understand Gerard Gallant's mindset. I don't understand where he sees Lafrenière, because if he sees him as a big piece of the puzzle, which is what we all would like him to be, I'm not sure that this is the course that Lafrenière should be on right now with Gerard Gallant. Are you surprised by the amount of shuffling of the lines we have seen here in the first 2.5 months?
I mean, last year he did the same thing, except for the Zibanejad line. It was always trying to find the right mix. I don't know. We talked about it ad nauseum, and it's just like in-game decisions the coach tries to make based on the play of the players, the opponent, and other situations. I'm a little surprised that he's not giving it a little more time. Like I said, the kid line was doing well when they were on their streak, and then they have one bad game, the team, and then he breaks everything up. I don't get that. I'm a fan of Gallant's, but I don't see it. I wish I could talk to him one-on-one to get their mindset. I don't get it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You have some coaching experience. You're a fan of Gallant. I mean, I'm a fan of him too. I'm not as much of a fan at the moment as I used to be. Gallant has a track record of first year he goes somewhere, team overperforms, exceeds expectations. The next year comes back to earth. Is there something you're seeing, because you have a coaching background, in what he does that makes this happen all the time? Or is this just is what it is? Or is this Gallant?
I mean, it's got to be somewhat of his personality. I guess he might give the players some free reign. He says the right things in interviews, but I don't, again, we don't know what goes on. Like I watched that show about the Maple Leafs that Eddie told me to watch, and there's interaction with the GM, coach, and the players one-on-one. I'm assuming he has these conversations, what he expects from them, and I don't see why. I don't think he's playing that bad. So I don't I don't know. If it was my player, I'm going to say, look, are you doing this? We need you to do this. It looks like he's hitting. It looks to me like he's back checking. I don't know. And it's hard when you're mixing it up to get in a flow as a player. It's
Right.
hard to get in that flow, especially as a young player.
Well, that's my take on Lafrenière is give him 5 games, let him be consistent, put him on a better line, either the top line or the second line, with players that can score, whether it be Panarin, Zibanejad, somebody. And then that'll give us a better indication of really who this kid is. Because I don't know this. I'm on the third line, then I'm healthy scratched. I don't know how this is helping his development. And what I also don't understand is how this is helping us understand the type of player he is, because we're not going to learn in this method.
I'd like to see him more on the power play, because when he's at, and he got on the power play the other night, right after he was benched. He was on the second unit. And he made a few really nice passes in 5-on-5 situations. I mean, that's his history. He's a passer. He's an assist getter. He's got a great shot. He has the ability to score. It's just a matter of finding that right mix. I mean, I'm looking at Kakko. Took 3 years to develop. I think he's at a stage right now where he's doing really well, and he's seeing the ice better. It might just take him a little more time. Kakko was benched last year a little bit. I don't know, without knowing the personality and the conversations that are going on between Gallant, Drury, and Lafrenière, I don't know what they're expecting out of him that he's not doing. I see him, like I said, I see him playing 3 zones. I see him playing physical. I don't know what they expect. I don't have a problem with the way he was playing. So again, we're not seeing it at the same.
What were you going to say, Doug?
Doesn't he have the most 5-on-5 goals?
Look at you, mic drop moment.
Same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
He's
as
doing
Doug
well.
mentioned, as Doug just mentioned there. So, all right, Coach Ed, we're gonna let you go. We're having some technical difficulties again on your end, but we'll come back. We're gonna come back hopefully with your whole crew. We're gonna get a Tuesday. We'll get you all on, and we will see you soon. Happy New Year, Coach Ed. That is Coach Ed of Rangers.ed podcast. You want to put the comment that we just got, because I think that it's about you actually, and that is that Lafreniere's little brother with the Giant shirt on. You do look a little bit like Lafreniere,
Sweet.
and that's a
Yes.
major compliment because Lafreniere is like 21 years old, so you
Yeah.
were called his little brother.
Nice.
So
nice.
you've aged well, my
Yeah,
friend.
aged very well. What number is
13.
Yeah.
But
My
I don't
number's
know that
10.
he would be the smart jersey buy right now with everything going on with him. I don't know.
Most 5-on-5 goals, bro.
I tell you, you pay attention. All right, so we talked about the Giants and then got into this debate here, which I have a feeling.
Yeah,
is
let's
gonna
go back to that.
No, there's no more debate on that.
I just placed my bet, by the way,
Okay.
so I get $100 if I win.
I hope you're right. I'm not saying Dable's not deserving. I just don't think he's going to win it. All right.
Wait. Time out, real quick.
Yes.
So super quick. Let's not say he's not going to win it. I'm saying the 49ers and the Eagles don't deserve it.
Okay.
So forget about Dable
That's
for a
fine.
second.
We'll find
I
out.
don't think the Eagles or the 49ers deserve it. I think the Dan Campbell, the Jets coach. I'm terrible with names.
Okay.
The Jets
Robert
coach.
Saleh, you just gave me a great segue. The Jets, the fact that you even think that the Jets coach wins is mentioned for coach of the year. Are you aware? I mean, I
don't have a quarterback.
Doug, they haven't won a game. The last time the Jets won a game, well, they beat the Bears November 27th. They have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their last 9 games, and are now out of playoff contention. A coach that has lost 8 of 9 games does not
most
deserve.
of those games were like by 1 point.
Stop! I don't care. It's wins and losses in the NFL.
Okay, they won
It's not
one
moral
game. They went
victories.
from the worst team in the league to almost making the playoffs.
And Robert Saleh deserves coach of the year.
I mean, their quarterback didn't get it. They don't even know who their quarterback is. Every day, every game, it
Their
changes.
quarterback is out hitting on his roommate's mother.
Yeah,
Right,
This is what this guy's dealing with.
But doesn't the Jets have a responsibility to say, hey, you know what? Zach Wilson sucks, but Zach Wilson sucks because we took him as the second pick in the draft. It's their own fault.
Well,
They're
I
the
mean,
ones
that's
that picked him.
The coach didn't pick him.
Doug.
Head office stuff.
So you think that? Let me get this straight.
Yes.
Let me just see, because I'm blown away and I'm fascinated and I'm like, now I'm intrigued.
Okay.
If you had a vote for coach of the year,
Yes.
if Undefeated Media was given a vote, because
Yes.
it is a media,
We are a
company.
media company.
We are a media
Yes.
company.
Give me where's my
Right?
vote.
You're
Where's
right.
my-
Here's your vote. But your job to
Yeah.
uphold the standards
Yeah.
is that you have to vote objectively.
Yes.
And they say to you, no, hold on. Listen, they say to you, rank the coaches, right? And that's how they do the votes. I think there's
Okay.
like first place vote. You would vote Robert Saleh with the Jets as a
No.
higher vote than Nick Sirianni on the Eagles?
Here's my order. Brian Dable.
Okay. Okay.
Brian Dable. Dan Campbell.
Stop.
Dude, Dan Campbell is an awesome coach. Coach of the year.
Is this
then I'm
real?
going, dude, you can't pick a coach that doesn't need to coach. Like the Kansas City Chief coach.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
That's fair.
Andy Reid doesn't get coach of the year. Come on, he's got Patrick Mahomes slinging the ball, doing behind the back passes. The coach didn't say, all right, go to the 40, turn around behind the back
Time
pass.
out.
That's not part of the playbook.
Answer the question.
Yeah.
Are you voting? Who's getting a higher vote from you? Robert Saleh and the Jets or Nick Sirianni and the Eagles? Just answer that. Who's getting the higher vote?
Salah.
Okay. I'm
Jets.
done with this
Now, let's
conversation.
just do
We're moving on.
the Eagles
We're
coach
moving
isn't
on.
coaching. The
Doug,
Eagles
we're moving
coach
on.
isn't coaching.
Look, Everyone's
Jalen Hurts is
entitled.
just running around rampant on the field, dude.
Everyone is entitled.
Jalen Hurts is just running around rampant. That's not a play in the playbook. Jalen goes nuts.
Everyone.
Thanks, coach.
Doug, everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Okay.
I'm going to give you that. I'm just going to say,
Pat, wake
I
up. You got to
completely
switch the camera
disagree.
angle.
I'm just going to say everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I cannot. Robert Saleh getting a higher vote for Coach of the Year than Nick Sirianni is insanity to me. We're moving on.
Okay.
This is the last week of the season. A lot of playoff matchups come down. And again, I'm not going back to it, but I'm saying not only
sounds like you're going back to it.
No. Not
You
only
can have the last word. You can have the
it's
last
not
word.
last word. This is a good closing. It's not my last word. You Robert Saleh.
But forget about my picks, Dable, Campbell, Soriani, whatever his name is. Forget about that. The Eagles coach is not coaching. He's not coaching.
Okay. Doug, all I'm saying is this, and then we're moving on. Not only will we find out who wins and who the media votes, they usually do release, I believe. I'm not sure, but I think they do like the order of like who finished first, second.
Cool.
So
I can't
we are
wait.
going to do a really good. That'll be a really good episode when they do that.
Well,
all right.
Well, listen, the media. All right.
Don't.
Just because ESPN is part of the media, these other media companies, we don't know how much they know football. Like they're just gonna choose the best team. They're gonna choose the best team. I guarantee you, half the votes are gonna be like,
real?
"Who's the best team? Who's the best team? Let's pick them." Dude, you can be a great team and not have a great coach.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts has got an MVP season.
We're gonna find out.
They're not running any special plays. Brian Campbell has to come to the game.
Dan Campbell.
Brian Dable has to come to the game every week and come with some master plan to win because he's got nothing. He's got no weapons.
Okay.
Dan Campbell, same thing. He's got to come with a master plan, and they have to follow it.
We'll see.
Chiefs don't have to come up with a plan.
Okay.
The Eagles don't need to come up with a plan. They just show up and sling the ball around.
We will see going forward. All right. Week 18 picks. Now, last week we didn't make picks because I was out of the country. We didn't tape. But I will tell you in full disclosure that I picked 5 games of my own. It's a good thing we weren't on because I did not have a good week.
It doesn't count.
The week before I did not have a good week. So I've really kind of come back to earth with the picks. However, I believe in the year we're still 10-6, so we'll take it. Okay. So we have one more week to go with regular season.
We're making the playoffs.
So these are your week 18. This week is impossible to pick because you have some teams that are playing for something. You have some teams that are resting players. This is the hardest week to pick. Yeah. So I'm going to just sit here and tell you that was a little word of caution as I make my week 18 picks.
Okay.
I like the Packers -4 at home versus the Lions. There is no team right now that is hotter. I wouldn't say playing better than the Packers. The Packers need to win. They got flexed into the primetime spot. It's Aaron Rodgers at home. Expect him to deliver and get his team back in the playoffs and do it convincingly with a versus a Lions team that may have the coach of the year apparently, but they're not playing for the playoffs. Give me the Packers -4 at home. Give me the Bears +1.5 at home versus the Vikings. I can't understand the Vikings. I really can't. One week you look great. The next week you don't. If I'm Paul Farrington, I'm concerned. Tampa, give me Tampa +7 at Atlanta. I know Brady may not play. I know Tampa's not playing for anything, but 7 is still a lot of points, and Atlanta sucks. So give me Tampa +7 on the road in Atlanta. The Broncos played better under their interim head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, out after less than one season. The Broncos +3 at the LA Chargers. The Broncos are at home versus the Chargers. The Broncos are just playing better. +3. I get a little bit of points. They're playing for a new coach. I'll take that. Last, boy, the Colts suck. They really do. Give me the Texans +3. No team should be getting points against the Colts. Give me the Texans +3. So to wrap it up, I like the Packers -4 at home versus the Lions, Bears +1.5 versus the Vikings, Tampa +7 at Atlanta, the Broncos +3 at home versus the Chargers, and the Texans +3 at the Colts. That wraps up our last weekly picks for the year. We will have to decide what we are going to do with the playoffs.
It's its own little season.
We'll reset. Yeah, we'll reset. Playoffs are also tough to pick, obviously, but it's the playoffs. You got to raise your game.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially if you want to be the coach of the year.
Yes. And you know what? Usually the coach of the year. I'll tell you, I don't think we could look. I'm sure there's a stat on this. I don't know if anyone has. I can't imagine that any coach has won coach of the year with a team that has not made the playoffs. Dan Campbell backers. I'm just saying. But we can look that up. Anyway, we thank you for listening. This was the 99th episode of this program. So we thank you for tuning in. We thank the Bamboozle Project as always. And next week will be our 100th episode, which is crazy to think. But tune in for that next week. The Rangers, as I mentioned, home tonight versus a red hot, no team better in the NHL right now, Carolina Hurricanes. Then they hit the road for 2 up in Montreal. And then over the weekend, they're at the Devils. Both winnable games. Both Montreal and the Devils are not playing well. And that will be where we're at. Anything else from you, sir?
No, I was just looking it up. I can't find anything yet. We'll have to come back.
We'll find. You know what?
But-
We will get it. Go ahead. What were you
No,
saying?
I'm just saying, but fine. That takes off Dan Campbell and that takes off Soriano, whatever.
Doesn't take off-
How do you say the
Oh,
Jets' names?
Robert Saleh.
Robert
Yeah,
Saleh.
okay.
All right.
Robert
Which is fine.
Saleh-
I think Brian Dable deserves it. He took a team that won 4 games last year and brought them to the playoffs with no
But
weapons.
just so you understand, the Dan Campbell, again, I don't agree with, but I could at least tell you that he has odds to win Coach of the Year to back you. Salah's not even on the list. You can't
Okay.
even a guy.
Fine. But hear me out. I'm not saying he's gonna win or he should win. I'm saying he deserves it more than the Eagles coach who just goes out there and says, "Here you go, Jalen, do whatever you want."
We will find
Guy
out.
doesn't even have a quarterback.
You know what? If they release the amount of votes that the coaches get, which I think they do,
Yeah.
you and I will sit here that episode and we will dissect it.
Absolutely. Let's dissect.
Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week on our 100th episode here at MYPB. Thank you, the Bamboozle Project, as always, and we will see you next week.